No way.
Hey everybody, this is Zach with Tanuki Games, and today we're taking a look at Life is Strange Episode 1 for the PlayStation 4. Please remember that a like, a comment, or subscribe means a lot to me, and of course the channel. Without further ado, let's get started.
She's so fucking shy.
Ever since The Walking Dead, I've been fairly attracted to narrative-heavy adventure games, and I really like a lot of this style of gameplay because it engages you in the characters exclusively, and while the critique of many of these games is that it's not really a game as much as a simulator or a walking sim as it's critiqued commonly as, I really enjoy them, and I like to really focus in on the characters, and Life is Strange caught my eye mostly because of its aesthetic. And when I saw that the first full season was kind of packaged together in one disc, I decided to pull the trigger, and I really enjoyed the first episode quite a bit.
I wish I could beat the shit out of Logan.
Life is Strange starts out with a hurricane kind of going on in a daydream of the main character Max, and then you kind of wake up and you're in a photography class at the Blackwell Academy in Arcadia Bay, Oregon. And pretty much from the get-go, Max uses her powers to kind of answer very mundane questions correctly and things like this. And very quickly it escalates into Max saving a life. And the story itself really hurls you into what is correct and incorrect, and that's where the beauty of the gameplay comes in, which is your ability to rewind time. When you're in the bathroom, one of the two villains, Nathan, is intimidating a girl, and essentially she gets shot, and you're able to rewind time to change that fact. And the other villain, David, is also a total creep, but in a very different way and maybe much less sinister way. Then, as the story progresses, Max meets her old friend Chloe, who is kind of nothing but trouble, but is a very good and likable character.
You best tell me what you told the
The
principal.
thing that most impressed me about Life is Strange Episode 1 was the fact that it really does deal with heavy, socially awkward and difficult topics. Drug use is fairly open in the game, and even some of the more difficult and taboo topics that the game throws at you, it handles very well and feels very appropriate. The only critique that I have of the story and the writing is that some of the dialogue is very oriented toward trying to sound hip, and it just comes off as disingenuous. I don't know anyone, of course, who talks like the characters in the game do, but it just sounds like an old man probably wrote them, someone like me, and yet they're trying to come off as, I don't know, with it. So that's the only thing that I can really critique about the story and the dialogue. As I alluded to earlier, the gameplay in Life is Strange is standard fare for an adventure game. You walk around, you talk to people, you solve puzzles. The big difference is your ability to rewind time, which I really enjoy this aspect of the game, mostly because in many adventure games, you're kind of blindly picking. You don't know what the result will be of your actions until it's decided, and I really enjoy Life is Strange for this reason, because you can rewind a scenario and explain yourself differently each time, and then kind of choose yourself how you want the game to proceed. This is very similar to me as a choose your own adventure title, where you kind of read ahead and then decide where you wanted to go in the first place. The gameplay is simple, but it is very good for what it's trying to do, and is on par with any other adventure game that you've probably played, like any of the Telltale games. I can't think of many games that really utilize
Hopefully nothing
the
after
music
today.
so effectively and put
So,
music
how
so
do you know
front and
Nathan?
center
He's just
than
another Arcadia
Life
asshole.
is Strange.
Your friend really took a beat down for
When
you.
playing
Lauren?
Life is Strange,
Yeah, I owe him
there's a
big
lot
time.
of
You're not the only
very
one, Jess. And
somber
you're
kind
already
of
causing
acoustic
I thought it would be
noodling
quiet here.
and
Feels
warm
so
synth
weird to be
sounds
back.
throughout it,
So I
and
guess Seattle's
the
stopped calling?
soundtrack is very enjoyable, and I really like it.
No, it felt like a real
To me,
city
it
for
feels
artists.
like
Big and
a
bright. Great for taking pictures.
rainy
Yeah,
sort of
must be hard coming
vibe,
back to a
and
hick town
I
like Arcadia
just
again.
really
Not
like
after
it.
seeing you.
Please
There
don't.
are
You
some
came back for
alt
Blackwell
country, indie, folk, something or other music licensed as well, and
Of
it's
course,
okay.
one of
It's
the
not
best
really my
photography
bag,
programs in the
but
country.
your mileage on
And my
these tracks are
favorite
going to
teacher, Mark
vary,
Jefferson.
and that's
So you
fine,
came
but
back to
the
Arcadia
music
for a
is quite
teacher,
good and
not your best
definitely
friend.
worth a
Don't you
listen
think I'm
to,
happy
even
to
if
see
you
you?
never play the
No.
game, just
You
to
were happy to
chill
wait
and
5 years without a
read
call or
or
even a text.
something like that. Graphically, the game looks fantastic. I really like how it
I'm
looks
sorry. I
kind
know
of like
things
a
were tough on me when I
oil
left.
pastel
know?
or
You weren't
even
even
some
here.
sort of
I
crayon
didn't
sort
order
of
my
aesthetic
parents
to it.
move specifically to fuck
The
you over
characters
for me.
themselves
You've been at
are
Blackwell for almost
a
a month
little
without
bit
letting me know.
lifeless. There are attempts
I
to
just wanted to settle
animate
in first and
them
not be such a shy,
accurately, but
cliché
everything
geek.
comes off stiff.
I
But
totally would've
here
gotten
again, this would have been a
Bet you don't
pretty
use these
low
sad
budget
excuses on
game,
Mr.
and
Jefferson.
it's
Don't use
not
them
going
on
to
him,
win
please.
any awards for lifelike animation, and that's fine. I think that it very effectively conveys emotion otherwise, and the voice acting does a very good job with this as well. However, I would say that the star of the show is actually the setting. The game does a very good job of
Broken.
making you
Man, are you
feel this
serious?
place, which is
Wow,
Arcadia
haven't heard that one
Bay,
in a while.
and in
Not
that
everything
it makes
changes.
you feel
Except my
like you're in
camera
this
has officially
Pacific
taken a
Northwest
shit.
little
My step
podunk
douche has a
town,
boatload of
and
tools.
I
Maybe
really
you
like
fix it at
this,
my
and
place.
I need
each
very
scene kind of
specific
starts out
tuning
with
tools.
a
Pretty
lot
orders.
of setting
My stepdad has a
shots
fully
to
stocked
make you
garage.
feel
And
like
he actually is
you
into
have
tools.
some context for the environment. So even when the environment is not very detailed, it also does a very good job to make you feel like you're there. Additionally, one of my biggest pet peeves in games is when mirrors don't work, and the mirrors work in this game, which I don't know why I always pay attention to that, but I do. And anyway, that was a really nice touch as well. So graphically, the game looks great. So far, so good with Life is Strange. I really enjoyed the first
Come on in,
episode, and
don't be
I
shy.
look forward to seeing
house still
how
looks
Max and
nice.
Chloe's
Home, sweet
relationship develop. And I'm very curious about Nathan and David, and if they're both actually villains or somehow misrepresented. And I can definitely recommend episode 1. We're going to try to do all 5 episodes separately on the channel, and this is mostly due to the fact that I am playing some longer form games right now, and I
Clara
want to
looks
give
a bit
them the
different than the last
time
time
and
you saw
myself
her.
the time to review them
It's cool. At least we
thoughtfully.
can
And
chill
so
out.
thank you for
This
your
isn't
patience
exactly
if
my
you
chill
are
out zone.
watching,
My
and
step-Fuhrer makes sure of that.
let's see
Come in,
what
close the
happens
door.
next. This is Zach
Put on
with
some
Tanuki
music while I
Games.
medicate.
Please remember that a like, a comment, or a subscribe means a lot to me and, of course, the channel. Enjoy.
It won't play without any power.